G'day humans, Chris Stead from Finder here, and today I'm reviewing the Vitruvian Trainer. In fact, I'm going to have a look at both models for you. I'm going to look at the original V-Form Trainer, which came out in early 2021, and I'm going to look at the Trainer Plus, the upgraded model, which is shipping January 2022. I spent plenty of time with both of them. And ultimately, I'm trying to work out here where this Australian engineered, full body, all-in-one fitness tech is right for you. I am going to start off by talking about the price. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because, as you'll see, I think this is actually a really great piece of tech, but with everything I'm saying about it, you do have to look at it through the lens of how big an investment it is to actually get into it. So the Trainer Plus will set you back $3,150 here in Australia, and the original V-Form Trainer has been reduced to $2,300 here in Australia, so quite a buy-in. Now, on top of that, there's a $49 per month subscription service that you don't need, but as we'll discover as I go on, certainly has a lot of features in it that you'll need to pay ongoing to make the most of it as well. Okay, so here we are, where I have been setting up and using this is the original V-Form Trainer, which was released earlier in 2021, and then there's the Trainer Plus, which is coming out which is shipping in January 2022. Now I've had this in here for about 4 months now. I was using it during lockdown, and I've since been able to go into the actual Vitruvian partner gyms and use the Trainer Plus. So I'll talk you through both of them, but effectively they work the same way, just the Trainer Plus offers some significant benefits which I'll talk you through. So how does it all work? So inside here, you've got these two motors, and the motors are attached to these cables which come through at these two ends here, and then these two ends are attached to accessories. So I've got the basic handle here, got the premium handle here, so you can see the difference between the two. And that is effectively the guts of the machine, because everything that's cool about it is based on the algorithm, right? So what you do here is when you go to pull, the weight is added on, but then also when you lower, you can add it so that you kind of got to move it down. It's not just gravity. So you're getting these concentric and these eccentric movements, and that's kind of a big deal. It's something you don't really get on a normal weights machine, which I found really, really cool about this, is that you're kind of getting that up and that down movement is all part of the exercise, right? But where things become really cool is once you connect the app. So there's a little QR code that you can't see, but there's a little QR code here. Once you scan that, you go straight into the Vitruvian app, and it really works really well. Once you get in there, you're looking at about 100 different exercises across all your different body types. So they're broken down into your core, your back, your legs, your tries, your arms, it's all broken down like that. So you can choose your exercises. Once you're in exercise, you can choose the amount of weight that you want to put on, and you can choose the amount of reps you want to do. And then you can also choose a different type of modes. There's a couple of different modes available. So there's a focused mode, which just allows you to set it at a certain weight and go that weight. Then there's a progressive mode where you can set it at a certain weight, say 5 kilos, and every single time you complete a rep, it'll go up a kilo. So every time you do that, it kind of gets harder and harder and harder, but then the algorithm kicks in, right? And so the algorithm works out if you're struggling. So if you're kind of like, you're really struggling to get it up like this, and it gets to there, it'll just drop the weight down a little bit, so the next one's a bit more smoother, right? And then vice versa, if you're just pounding it, it'll just start adding weight. So the way that the algorithm works there allows the machine to basically adapt to how you are, and it means that you're never kind of broken, you're always just challenged. And that side of things works really, really, really well. There's other modes that I've missed here. You can just focus just on eccentric training, for example. There's a pump mode, which is about just doing fast, hard reps, so you can just get a real cardio workout as well as part of it. So what's kind of blew me away straight away when I considered this as an experience was that prior to this, I was looking at how I could maybe scale back from my gym, and trying to find equipment I could put in my house. It was huge. It takes up half the room. I've got this amazing red couch that I picked up off Marketplace, bargain, which I'm never going to sacrifice. It's so cool. But to fit this kind of stuff into your house is just ridiculous. And even then, you're looking at the clunky and loud old weights with pulley system, right? So to be able to do the vast majority of my exercises in something that's on this size footprint and then allows you to do that kind of, you know, that have that algorithm that's allowing to, you know, is adjusting itself to my areas is really, really, really very, very cool. But there's some significant differences between the V-Form Trainer and then the Trainer Plus that came out. And when I was using this, you know, I was pretty happy with it. I was okay. I thought it was pretty good. It does have some resistance issues, so basically it'll be a lot joltier. You could almost see, I don't know if you could see, but it almost picked up off the ground. So sometimes it's a little bit hard to get going. It can be a bit aggressive. So when you're first starting your weights, you've got to set your range of movement. So the first couple of reps, you're just doing this, for example, just to try and get that kind of range of movement. And then it starts adding the weight. But sometimes it's just so jolty, it's hard to do that. And it's a bit kind of, it's just not very smooth. And the original one, it says on the website that it's 5 kilos is the minimum limit on the original V-Form Trainer, but it's actually 7 in the app. And 7's a lot. It doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not for something like a bicep curl. But if you've got injuries or anything like that, so for example, I don't know if you can see on that, you can probably see my shoulders, so wonk, I've dislocated this shoulder so many times. So when you're doing something like a lateral raise, like that, that's a real challenging thing to do with 7 kgs on it. So, of course, I found it very, or not very, but limiting in a lot of the things that I could do. I just couldn't get it low enough. And also because it was a double whammy, because it was like those resistance issues where it's a little bit just tough kind of getting your movement to start with, you combine that with a high weight and you just don't get your form right. And so you find yourself getting in a little bit of a position where you know, like if you're doing like, you know, wood chop or something like that, and you're trying to get like this and you're going, you can't get the weight right. So the idea of being able to start low, getting where you want to get on that and then adding the weight is far better. The reason I'm bringing all this up is because all of these things are fixed with the Trainer Plus. It's just so much more smooth. Like it's just buttery smooth compared to the V-Form Trainer. It's just so easy to just move and get into position. It reads you right. It doesn't ever jolt you like this. It comes in and out really easily. It's just a world of difference. And also you can drop it right down to 0 if you want to. So it goes all the way down to 0. The maximums are hectic. This goes up to 180 and the new one, the Trainer Plus, goes up to 200. But when you're looking at the bottom range, that's where it's really important. So being able to lower and just start off with 3 or 4 or 5, whatever you're comfortable with, I think just brings the Trainer Plus into the sphere of use for so many more people. So, you know, I'm going to talk a bit more during this review about the price of these machines and you know, where you come in at, because this is the V-Form Trainer is still really good, but the Trainer Plus, for those reasons, is significantly better. If there's one thing, however, that is potentially better with kind of your traditional pulley system as you might use it at the gym, is that because the pulley is effectively inside this, it doesn't distance itself from you. So when you're doing routines like where you're kind of going across yourself, because this isn't up like this like it would be on a pulley, it actually can push into you. I mean, you can switch it around and try and go inside if it allows it for it, the exercise allows for it, but you know, if you're doing things above your head, it's a whole different kind of exercises where the cable does get a bit pushy on you, and that's something to consider as well. And also, I did mention there's 100 exercises, but they are limited in what you can do based on the accessories that you have. So the trainers come with the basic handles, not the premium handles, the basic handles and the ankle straps. It allows you to do kind of like, you know, like kick moves like this, that type of stuff. But then there's a whole other range of stuff. So I've got the rope here as an example. These are, I should point out, these are also the original V-Form accessories. It changes on the Trainer Plus. I'll talk through that in a sec. And the bar as well, which is a really good one. This comes in very handy indeed. There's also a bench, which would have been really handy to have actually, but I didn't have that. I'm sure you could probably make something out of like something you've already got around your house potentially. And there's some other accessories as well. But so you have to have all of these to get access or be able to use a lot of those exercises. I'll just talk you through some of the quick design quirks of the machine. Look, they're both pretty much exactly the same in terms of their design. So, you know, what I really like about it is obviously the form factor, the size. So this is designed so it can slip under your bed or under a couch, not under this couch, but it can fit under a couch or a bed. It's actually got wheels on the end of it, so you can pick it up like so and move it about, tuck it underneath a bed. So that side of things is very, very cool. It's really easy to sign in. As I mentioned, it's the QR code here, you're straight into the app and you're off and you're going. Obviously lights, sexy lights. Add a bit of flair, not much else, so they're not timed to anything. So that's kind of like what I like about the design. What I don't like about the design is that it's still quite heavy, it's 40 kilograms, so it still feels quite unwieldy to move around. The cable is a little on the short side, so that's probably, it's not even 2 meters, it's probably about 1.5 meter cable, which isn't that great if you want to like wheel it out at the end of your bed and then get it all the way to your bedside table. I think they should have done better with the cable. This mat doesn't come with it. It's an accessory that you have to pay for extra. So like this is a bit harder. When you're kneeling on this, you know, like I would have thought at the cost that we're paying for this machine that they could have thrown the mat in, and it would have been nice actually if it was just built in, because it does move. So I think that was just a bit lame, really. I think this should be built into the device and come standard with it. And look, you know, obviously I'm a big guy, I'm 6'4", and it's pretty small. It hasn't really affected me with too many exercises, I've got to be honest, but there are 1 or 2 where I really do struggle to kind of lie on it when I'm doing some of the exercises. So for example, if I'm kneeling on it or lying on my back along it, there's a few exercises like that. So it's a little bit on the short side for a big dude or a big woman, but yeah, look, not too bad. Now the differences between the Trainer Plus and the V-Form Trainer pretty much come down to the way that these connect. So as you can see here, it's just a carabiner. So it comes off, you just attach it. You know, you just attach this end of it and you can add the other accessory on, right? Okay, with the new ones, they've got a magnetic join, which is like a drill, impact driver drill bit. So you pull it back and just slot it in. It's a lot easier to change the two things that you're between accessories with it, but it pulls all the way into here, so you get that much more range of movement. Like, so you can imagine you can go lower as you're doing it. So that's really cool. I think the new accessories are a much better system. The only problem is if you've already got this, then the old accessories won't work on the V-Trainer Plus. So it does put a hurdle on an upgrade path. So that's the negative. And the only other thing I don't like about the design is, and you probably can't quite hear it, is there's a high-pitched sound coming out of the machine. It's like really high-pitched, like whiny sound. And you kind of don't, it's just a little bit annoying, but it's only on the V-Form Trainer. I couldn't hear it on the Trainer Plus. So that's one of the other differences between the two variants. As for the app, look, it's solid, but it's still got a way to go. You know, you can look through all the workouts in here. You've got your custom workouts, there's classes, there's leaderboards, there's various graphs that'll show you how you're performing, not just over many, many days of doing the weights and watching your weights go up, but also just in terms of your movement, so you can get to judge your form and something and so forth. There's games which will be coming in the future, so you know, like so you can pretend you're rock climbing or whatever. And there'll be as well also the ability for your physio or your personal trainer to actually send you custom workouts to the app so that you can go home and then work on certain things. So that style of stuff is all really quite cool. Each individual exercise, and like I said, there's about 100 or so of them, at least at this stage. I think more will be added over time. You see a video from different angles that shows what you're supposed to be doing, so there's a visual of how you're supposed to be training, but unfortunately it's got no audio. So while you can see what you're supposed to do, there isn't just that guidance on form, which is so vitally important for a lot of these exercises to make sure you A, don't injure yourself, but B, you're working the right muscles. So I think that they should add sound to that. But look, the actual functionality, the base idea of the app actually works, you know, really solid at this point in time. I think there's just a lot of things that could be added to it that could just make it a bit more of a user-friendly experience. For example, it tends not to remember previous workouts. So every time you go back in here, you've got to kind of reset it to where you were beforehand. So if you're trying to do something like where you're trying to go do this exercise, then go back and do them all again, you kind of got to go back and just restart it again. That's kind of really annoying. If you're doing a particular exercise that has a left or a right side, it doesn't cater for that. So you've kind of got to go through and do it all on the left side, then go back into the exercise and do it all again on the right side. It just doesn't intelligently understand that you're going to do left, then you're going to do right. So I think that's a bit of a letdown. There's no audio countdown, or the lights on it don't flash anyway to count down. So you're doing your reps and you think, oh geez, I must be just about there, but you don't actually know when you're finished necessarily, or you can't build yourself up to it because it's not going beep or just doing something. You've got to actually look at your screen. And while that's easy with some routines, it's not easy on all. Speaking of screens, it's not native yet, the app, on say smart TVs or consoles or set-top boxes like the Apple TV. I did hear the Apple TV one is coming, but because it's not native, you've got to kind of cast it from your phone if you're on your big screen. And you do kind of want it on a big screen because it's a bit fiddly on a phone screen. There's just like a lot of, I guess, swiping and then swiping layer over layer and then adjusting little things like that. Just, it works, but it's just a little bit on the finicky side. So I do think there's some things that they could do, better overall with the app, and something that's just not on the cards at the moment because there's no speakers built into it. But I think I'd love to see some speakers built into a later Vitruvian, or a later Vitruvian, sorry. But Spotify integration or something like that, so you can actually either pass on workouts to friends, like beats to listen to, and even play them through your Vitruvian. That I think would be also a great addition. Now at the top I mentioned the subscription side of things, and I think this is somewhere where Vitruvian's kind of got it a bit wrong. I think they're going a little too aggressive with it. So you're paying $3K for this thing, and they want you to pay $49 per month to access pretty much everything above a basic workout. So you can just go in there and choose an exercise and do it and walk away and just do that bare minimum without any additional cost. So you don't have to buy a subscription. But then everything else is kind of gated behind the subscription. Now, there's things that involve a human element I can understand. So like the classes, obviously, the team building exercises, possibly even the game side of things could be used with, there's people involved in that and upkeeping it and everything like that. So I can understand. But other sides of it, like your data tracking, your progression graphs, leaderboards, custom workouts, things like that, that's just data. That's stuff that's already done. So why is that gated behind a subscription? I just think that should be on the front end for the buy-in, for the cost. I think that should just be available. And then these kind of more exotic things like classes is the big one, right? Fair enough, subscription on top of it. But I think they're a little bit too aggressive, and I really hope they just piece out on that and just pull back a little bit on that over time. But there is the one plus side of it, obviously, is that you only need one subscription per device. So if you've got multiple flatmates or your partner, then maybe you're splitting that cost down a bit. So maybe that makes it more affordable. But I think really for a lot of us, it's just going to be us going solo on the thing, and you're paying the full amount. The Vitruvian Trainer Plus and also the Vitruvian Trainer, its predecessor, have been an interesting review for me because I think the tech's great. I love that it's Aussie engineered. I love that it's got such a huge range of workouts and such a small footprint. I love the algorithm side of it. I love the tracking of it. I love that I can sit in my own house and do my gym exercises while I'm watching my TV, and I've got my aircon on me, and I'm not sweating it out and struggling down at the gym, just waiting for people to get out of machines, listening to bangs and clangs and all that type of stuff. I love what it offers in that regard. And it's far better than any other gym equipment I started looking at, especially when lockdown started. I started looking at these giant big gym things, and they're just going to take up so much space and be so loud and be so unwieldy and so hard to put in. This solves all that. So that side of things, is really, really quite cool. But when I started doing the maths of it, I realized that the cost of one Vitruvian Trainer Plus was going to be the same as me keeping my gym membership for 5 years. So, and that's not even including the subscription on top. That's just for the actual machine. And that's on my rate. Your rate may be different, but, and that looks a lot better, obviously, if you're sharing it with flatmates and so forth, and that cost doesn't look as bad. But you really got to have a look at that for you and your investment, and whether or not you think you're going to get that kind of use out of it over that period of time to be able to justify the price. But if you do decide to dive in, it is an excellent piece of tech. The Trainer Plus is worlds above the V-Form just for the smoothness. Like it's a real step up. They've put a price difference on it of about $850 between the two. I think that's maybe selling the V-Form trainer or putting the V-Form trainer a little bit high. I think it should be around the $2,000 mark, considering the gap in experience between the two. I think at around that $2,000 mark, you could definitely have put an argument for the V-Form trainer still being worth a purchase. And indeed, if you're really tight and you just can't get to the Trainer Plus, it's still really cool. You still get access to all the same classes. It still works, and it still works well. But if you ever use the Trainer Plus and then go back to the V-Form trainer, you'd be like, oh, geez, wow, it is significantly better. Anyway, that's my review of the Vitruvian Trainer. I'm Chris Stead from Finder. Head across to the finder.com.au website where I go into much, much more detail about everything to do with the Vitruvian Trainer and also other fitness products that are available here in Australia. Otherwise, stay fit, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.